What's up, guys? It's Dan from Coin Bureau Trading, back at it again with another crypto market updates. Today we've got Solana, Sui, and Aptos. I'm sure you're all wondering why these cryptos are pumping. How high are they going to go? Are they going to crash lower? If this is the kind of content that you enjoy, then be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ping that notification bell. Before we get started, do keep in mind that nothing in this video is financial advice. It's just my personal analysis of these cryptos. Your analysis could be different, and if it is, that's awesome, because the more difference of opinion that we have, the better traders and the better investors we're all going to become. With that being said, guys, I want to start with a specific catalyst that I think is going to be affecting probably most of the crypto market, especially altcoins. It's something that's going to happen later today, probably in a few hours' time by the time you see this video, and that's the release of the Personal Consumption Expenditure Index, or PCE Index, for March. And that's going to be released, I believe, at 8:30 a.m. EST. So probably, if memory serves, it'll be around maybe 2 or 2.5 hours from the time that you see this video. And the reason why this index is so important is it's basically like the inflation metric that the Federal Reserve watches the most. And as you guys might know, we saw the consumer price index, like the CPI, which is the one like that the markets watch the most. We saw the CPI and the PPI, which is for manufacturers. We saw both of those come in way lower than expected, which obviously suggests that the PCE could also come in way lower than expected. If it does, then that's probably going to increase the chances that the Federal Reserve is going to cut interest rates. So we will see already, like, the market's kind of pricing that in, and you will probably see interest rates fall, and you could see assets rise, especially risk assets like altcoins, which in my opinion have been held back. It has nothing to do with QE. It has everything to do with just the fact that that interest rates have been high. And of course, the Fed has kept interest rates high because it's concerned around inflation related to tariffs. But as the tariffs start to get resolved, and as we start to see, basically economic weakness and an oversupply of goods because all these companies were stockpiling ahead of the tariffs coming in. One thing I'll quickly note, I think yesterday someone had a comment, and it's something that's been going viral on social media, is that all these shipments from China have stopped and whatever. And the reason is that if you actually look at company inventories, they're actually at levels not seen since like the end of the pandemic, when retailers were stocking up on goods like crazy to try and meet the demand. So basically, there's an oversupply of goods, and then you have a weakening economy, which means there's less demand for goods. So the result is that basically you're going to see goods inflation come down, not go up. And the reason why there's no shipments coming out of China is because companies can see that consumers are pulling back. So they're saying, hey, why do I need to keep importing more stuff if I already imported all that I could before the tariffs? There's no need for me to import stuff. So it has nothing to do with kind of like supply chain disruptions or anything like that. It has everything to do with the fact that these retailers have already basically bought everything that they need for the next few months. And so have the consumers, and the consumers aren't looking to spend. And the result is that we're probably going to see prices continue heading lower, which again is going to increase the chances that the Fed cuts rates. This is something that not many people are talking about, but more and more macro analysts are starting to notice this dynamic, which I've basically been talking about for almost a month now, I think. Anyways, guys, so let's start finally with Solana. Again, I do think that this catalyst around PCE is going to be the main thing that causes altcoins to pump in the short term, but more in the medium term. As I've been mentioning, Solana has a conference that's coming up here, actually a couple conferences in mid to late May. I do think that if the macro backdrop is looking better, then these catalysts will start to have an impact. I definitely think that's going to be the case, but of course, I'm sure you're all wondering what's going to happen to Sol here in the short term. Of course, this brings me to the Solana chart, and on the weekly chart, I actually do think that Sol will rally up to around $170. I think that could happen either later this week or next week, and then there's probably going to be a little bit of a rejection. I don't know, maybe back down to 140 or even 130. Everyone will say it was a bear market rally. It was a bear market rally. It's all over. And then, of course, we'll basically come, let's say by mid May, when we start to see the macro continuing to come in like it favorably for the Fed to cut rates. We start to see the markets pricing that in, which creates like a nice macro backdrop. Most of the tariff uncertainty is basically gone probably by that point, which is, in like 2 or 3 weeks time. And then we end up with a scenario where we're starting to get these crypto catalysts that we've been getting, of course, for the last basically 4 months. And these crypto catalysts are going to start actually having an impact on price. We'll see Solana break above the Bollinger Band moving average on the weekly, and then probably head to new all-time highs. I personally think Solana will hit close to $1,000 sometime over the summer, but of course, we're going to have to wait and see and take things one step at a time. And again, the first step is for Sol to rally up to around $170, which again, I expect to happen by the end of the week or next week. Anyways, guys, as you might have noticed, noticed, we were using Binance there. The Coin Bureau deals page has a 20% trading fee discount on Binance and up to $600 in bonuses. These deals are exclusively available through the Coin Bureau. It's the biggest deal that you can get. Taking advantage of these deals is super simple. Just click that sign up button down in the description and also down in the comments. It'll take you to a page that looks like this. Just enter your email or your phone number. Signing up takes 2 minutes. It's super simple, super quick. If you're not able to use Binance for whatever reason, do keep in mind that the Coin Bureau deals page does have deals on other exchanges that are available for US residents like Arkham and also for UK users. And we also have wallets and all the stuff that you could possibly need to help you succeed in crypto. So again, the link to all that stuff is down in the description. Take advantage of those deals before they're gone. Anyways, guys, moving on now to Sui. I'm sure that some of you might remember, or hopefully even keeping up with my updates, that I've been highlighting that Sui Basecamp is one thing to watch here in the short term that could cause Sui to pump. I guess in contrast to Solana, which we're probably going to be waiting until mid-May for something like a meaningful catalyst that causes it to rally. The catalyst that could cause Sui to rally is literally going to happen in the next 24 to 48 hours. Some of you will know that there's been a lot of speculation that Sui is going to announce a partnership with Pokemon. This has to do with the terms and conditions in Pokemon's mobile app, which basically showed that a company that had recently been acquired by Miston Labs, the company behind Sui, was involved in Pokemon. So people are kind of drawing connections there. You can look into it on your own time. But the point being is that Sui Basecamp it takes place tomorrow and the day after on May 1st and 2nd in Dubai. And even Adenei Abiodun, I apologize if I'm butchering the name there, but one of the co-founders of Sui has been saying for months that Sui Basecamp is the thing to watch. This is something that I found after doing research. We're actually going to be doing a Sui update on the main channel as well. And when I was doing research for that, I could see that Adenei was saying, like, you have to watch this event because there's going to be some very big announcements there. So this begs the question of what's going to happen to Sui in the short term. Of course, it had a really nice rally up here, almost to $4, and now it's kind of been chopping. What I personally think is going to happen is that Sui will probably rally back up around this $4 range in the next couple of days as a result of the Basecamp announcement. And then probably after that, it'll get a rejection, probably back down to $3.5, and then probably down all the way to $3. And by that point, we're on the daily here, by the way. By that point, the Bollinger Band moving average on the daily will probably be closer to $3. So basically, again, just like a rally up to $4, then a rejection, and then probably just a grind back down to the Bollinger Band moving average on the daily, which by that point in like 2 or 3 days time, it'll be close to $3, maybe just underneath or just below or just above $3. So we'll grind back down to that level. And then who knows, hopefully it'll hold up and then continue heading higher in the coming weeks. As we all know, Sui has been super resilient. A lot of that has to do, let's say, with whale activity, which again, we'll be covering on the main channel. And I do think that over the summer, Sui has the potential to go, very, very, very high if the GameFi narrative becomes big, which I think that it will. I mean, we're going to have to wait and see what other catalysts are announced at the Basecamp conference, and we'll have to take things one step at a time as always. And again, first step, Sui probably rallies up to around $4, and then we see a pretty substantial pullback down to around $3 in the coming days. Probably, well, I don't know if by the end of the week, but maybe next week. By next week, Sui will be back down to around $3 maybe, and then we'll have to wait and see if there's another leg higher, and I think that there will be. Anyways, guys, last but not least, we have Aptos, which also has a whole bunch of announcements that are coming out here around the Token 2049. For those of you who don't know, there's a huge conference happening right now in Dubai, and Aptos and other crypto projects have a lot of side events, and Aptos looks like they're hosting a whole bunch of stuff. I also saw that the founder, one of the co-founders, I actually can't remember who, one of the co-founders of Aptos was pointing out the fact that there's been a lot of stablecoin growth on Aptos. It's something that I've been flagging for a while now, with stablecoin regulations coming probably also within the next month. That's another catalyst to watch for APT. But again, I think in the short term, in APT's case and in Sol's case, because they don't have any like necessarily specific catalysts that are super obvious, I think that they'll just be bouncing as a result of potentially some positive macro data coming in, positive macro developments over the next couple of days. And in Aptos's case, I think it'll probably rally to around, to the Bollinger Band moving average on the weekly, which is around $6.5. And again, I do think that'll happen by the end of this week, or by sometime early next week. And at the same time, we'll probably start to see Sui cool off, and who knows, maybe we'll see some rotation out of Sui into Solana and Aptos, and maybe that'll be the thing that causes them to have a little bit of a pump. But it is worth pointing out here, though, guys, that the pattern that we're seeing right now in Aptos over the last couple of months is almost identical to what we saw over last summer before a massive run-up. I expect the same thing to happen. And of course, when we zoom out, you can see that that Aptos has basically been chopping sideways ever since it launched. But I do think that eventually it's going to break out of this range and see a pretty substantial rally. My personal target for Aptos is close to $100 sometime over the summer. But of course, we'll have to play that by ear and see what happens. If that emoji coin thing can take off, then I do think that Aptos could definitely hit $100 $100, and members of the Coin Bureau Club will know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyways, if you guys did make it this far and you did find that information helpful, then be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, ping that notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one.